The hidden impact of constant criticism, how fathers' words shape their sons' lives forever. As children, the influence of our parents, especially fathers, shapes us in ways we often don't realize. While some fathers provide the encouragement and support necessary to help their sons grow into confident, self-assured adults, others, unfortunately, leave behind emotional scars through constant criticism. For many men, this experience can have a lasting effect that goes far beyond childhood, influencing their behavior, relationships, and even their mental health into adulthood. What many may not understand is how these seemingly small interactions can shape a man's identity in profound and often damaging ways. In this blog, we'll delve into how men who grew up under the weight of constant criticism from their fathers develop certain behaviors over time, behaviors they might not even realize are linked to their past. We'll explore how these behaviors manifest, why they persist, and most importantly, how to begin the healing process. 1. Striving for perfection, a never-ending race against self-doubt. For men who grew up in environments where nothing was ever good enough, striving for perfection can become an unconscious way of compensating for the constant dissatisfaction they felt from their fathers. A father who constantly criticizes, whether by belittling accomplishments or pointing out flaws, may inadvertently teach his son that only perfection is worthy of love and acceptance. The pressure to achieve flawless results in all areas of life, career, relationships, and even personal development becomes an internalized goal. This drive to be perfect is often fueled by a fear of criticism or rejection, with the mistaken belief that if they can just get it right, they will earn the love and respect that was denied to them as children. However, perfectionism comes with a hefty price. Over time, the constant need for excellence can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a paralyzing fear of failure. Despite high achievements, perfectionists often feel unworthy of their success because they're so focused on the flaws they didn't fix or the mistakes they made along the way. Their self-worth becomes intrinsically tied to external validation, leaving them empty even after accomplishments. The solution here is about shifting focus, realizing that success does not hinge on flawlessness, but on effort, growth, and resilience can help men loosen the grip perfectionism has on their lives. Embracing the concept of good enough is a crucial step toward healing. 2. Fear of failure, the silent but constant companion. The fear of failure is one of the most debilitating effects of constant criticism. For men whose fathers were never satisfied, failure wasn't just a disappointment, it was a catastrophe. When every misstep is met with harsh criticism, the message sent is clear: failure is unacceptable. As a result, these men often develop an overwhelming fear of making mistakes. This fear manifests as a deep aversion to taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside of their comfort zones. They may overanalyze situations, second-guess themselves, or procrastinate, unable to move forward for fear of failure. Ironically, this behavior often leads to failure in and of itself, as the fear of making mistakes stops them from seizing opportunities or giving their best effort. This tendency to avoid failure often affects personal relationships too. Men raised under critical fathers may have difficulty expressing vulnerability or seeking help from others, afraid of appearing weak or incompetent. They may find it hard to share their true feelings, especially when it comes to fear, sadness, or disappointment. Breaking free from the fear of failure involves learning to accept failure as a part of life. It's important to recognize that failure is not a reflection of one's worth, but an opportunity for growth. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can be a helpful tool in challenging the negative beliefs associated with failure, teaching men to embrace mistakes as learning experiences rather than reasons to hide or retreat. 3. Low self-worth and the never-ending need for validation. In homes where fathers were overly critical, love and validation often felt like something to be earned, and it was rarely, if ever, truly given. As a result, many men internalize feelings of inadequacy, believing that they must constantly prove their worth to be loved or accepted. This manifests in adulthood as a persistent need for external validation. Men who are criticized by their fathers may find themselves seeking affirmation from everyone around them, from partners to friends, colleagues, and even strangers. They may seek approval in the workplace, feel deeply distressed when they aren't acknowledged, or struggle with feelings of low self-worth when they don't receive positive feedback. The need for constant validation becomes a cycle, because no matter how many compliments they receive or how many successes they achieve, it is never enough to heal the deep-seated belief that they are not worthy on their own. This cycle can lead to unhealthy relationships, as these men may rely too much on others for emotional support or self-esteem, instead of cultivating a strong sense of internal validation. Healing from this requires a shift toward self-compassion. Therapy can help these men recognize the importance of self-love and the power of internal validation. Journaling about their strengths, reflecting on their past accomplishments, and taking time to acknowledge their own worth, independent of others' opinions, can go a long way in building self-esteem. 4. Difficulty with emotional expression, the silent sufferer. For men who grew up in homes where emotional expression was met with criticism or ridicule, there is often a learned pattern of emotional suppression. The message that emotions, particularly vulnerability, are signs of weakness leads many men to bury their feelings and avoid confronting them. In relationships, this often translates into a lack of emotional depth. These men may come across as detached, cold, or distant, even with those they love most. They might struggle with showing empathy, and when it comes to expressing sadness, fear, or even joy, they often avoid it entirely, fearing judgment. This emotional suppression is not just about avoiding vulnerability. It's about avoiding the shame that comes with being criticized for having emotions in the first place. Over time, this emotional numbness can lead to isolation and loneliness, as they are unable to connect with others on a deep, authentic level. The road to healing begins with learning that emotions are neither bad nor something to be ashamed of. Therapy and mindfulness practices can help these men reconnect with their feelings, process them in a healthy way, and express them in a manner that fosters deeper connections with others. 5. Overcompensating by becoming the strong one. In an effort to protect themselves from criticism and rejection, many men develop an exterior of invulnerability. This means becoming the strong one, the person who never shows weakness, never admits when they're struggling, and always has everything under control. On the outside, this persona can seem admirable, but it's often a defense mechanism rooted in deep-seated insecurity. By refusing to show vulnerability, these men push others away, fearing that showing any form of emotional need will invite judgment. They may overcompensate by becoming controlling or dominant, exerting power in relationships, or resisting help even when they desperately need it. While these behaviors may be well-intentioned, they can have the opposite effect. Over time, they alienate people and isolate the individual, leaving them with few genuine, emotionally fulfilling connections. The fear of appearing weak can become a self-fulfilling prophecy as these men unintentionally build walls that keep them isolated. To break the cycle, men must start by accepting that vulnerability does not equate to weakness. Learning to trust others and allow for mutual support can help them build healthy relationships, where both strength and vulnerability are valued equally. Breaking the cycle, the path to healing and growth. The behaviors outlined above are not immutable. Men who have been shaped by a critical father can heal from the wounds of their past. Therapy, self-compassion, and emotional vulnerability are all vital parts of this healing process. By confronting the negative beliefs formed during childhood and replacing them with healthier, more balanced perspectives, these men can begin to embrace themselves for who they truly are, not as the perfect version their father may have demanded, but as real, worthy individuals with flaws and strengths alike. The journey to healing is not easy, but it is worth every step. It's about reclaiming the narrative that was shaped by a critical past and rewriting it to reflect a future based on self-acceptance, love, and emotional freedom. Conclusion: embracing a new path toward self-acceptance. For those who have been affected by years of criticism, it can feel like the past is an unshakable weight. But with awareness, therapy, and commitment to change, it's possible to break free from these behaviors and build a life full of deeper connections, greater self-worth, and authentic emotional expression. Remember, healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to live with it in a way that empowers you to grow. Through self-compassion and emotional resilience, it's possible to overcome the limitations imposed by a critical father and create a life that truly reflects your worth.